Welcome back to Valuable Rare Coins, where every coin could be a hidden treasure. First, we're revealing coins that might be worth a fortune right under your nose. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our hunt for rare and valuable finds. Let's dive in. We're uncovering a hidden gem from the United States Mint, the 1966 1-cent coin. While pennies are often overlooked, this particular coin has sparked a great deal of interest in the numismatic community due to its rarity, historical context, and potential value. If you have a 1966 penny tucked away in a drawer or buried in a jar of spare change, you might just want to take another look. The 1966 1-cent coin might be worth much more than its face value. To understand why the 1966 penny is so significant, we need to take a quick trip back in time. The year 1966 was an interesting one in the history of the United States. The nation was in the midst of the post-war boom, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and the Vietnam War was escalating. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint continued its mission to produce coins that would circulate in everyday transactions, and the 1966 penny was among them. The design of the 1966 penny is quite familiar, featuring the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, a design that has been a part of U.S. currency since 1909. The image of Lincoln, created by artist Victor David Brenner, has become one of the most iconic and enduring symbols of American history. Surrounding Lincoln's bust are the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1966. These inscriptions remind us of the rich heritage and enduring values that this penny represents. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the famous Lincoln Memorial. This design was introduced in 1959 to honor Lincoln's legacy and is one of the most beloved and recognizable images in American coinage. The memorial's intricate details, from the grand columns to the central statue of Lincoln, have captivated collectors and history lovers alike for decades. What makes the 1966 penny stand out in the world of coin collecting? The truth is that most of the 1966 pennies in circulation today are relatively common and have little value beyond their face value. However, what makes some of these coins highly sought after are the unique features they may possess, particularly when it comes to their condition and rarity. Let's dive into what makes a 1966 penny worth significantly more than just 1 cent. One of the key factors that can make a 1966 penny more valuable is its condition. Over the years, many of these pennies were heavily circulated, resulting in wear and tear. Most 1966 pennies you come across today will show signs of being in circulation. Scratches, faded designs, and worn edges are common. However, if you happen to find a well-preserved 1966 penny, one that has been carefully stored and is free from significant damage, it could be worth much more than its face value. Coins that remain in mint state, meaning they are in almost pristine condition, are particularly valuable to collectors. A 1966 penny in uncirculated condition can command a premium price simply because it has been preserved in a way that most coins haven't. When a coin has little to no visible wear, it is highly prized in the world of numismatics. If you've got a 1966 penny that looks almost brand new, you might be looking at a valuable piece of American history. Now, let's talk about another aspect of the 1966 penny that has made it so desirable to collectors: mint errors. Minting errors are rare occurrences that happen during the production process when something goes wrong, resulting in a coin with an unusual feature or flaw. These errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, as they are often one of a kind. For the 1966 penny, there are a few errors that collectors are particularly keen to find. One of the most notable types of minting errors for the 1966 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear doubled or blurred in certain areas. For example, you might notice that the word Liberty or the date 1966 appears twice or is slightly off-center. These kinds of errors are highly collectible because they are rare and make the coin unique. Another error to watch out for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. An off-center 1966 penny is rare and can be much more valuable than a standard coin because of its distinctive appearance. Collectors are always on the lookout for these unique variations. In addition to these errors, there are also die cracks and planchet flaws that can occur during the minting process, which can add value to the coin if the flaws are significant enough. Die cracks happen when the die used to stamp the coin becomes damaged, leaving visible cracks or lines on the coin's surface. These kinds of imperfections make the coin stand out from others and can increase its appeal to collectors. Now, you might be wondering just how much your 1966 penny could be worth if you happen to find one in great condition or with a mint error. The value of a 1966 penny can vary greatly depending on its condition and whether it has a mint error. In general, a standard 1966 penny in good condition will only be worth a small amount above its face value, but when you factor in the potential for rare errors or exceptional quality, the price can rise significantly. A 1966 penny in near-perfect, uncirculated condition can be worth hundreds of dollars, but if you find one with a rare minting error, the value could soar. Some of these error coins have sold for thousands of dollars at auction, and certain 1966 pennies with double die errors or other significant flaws have been known to fetch prices that go well beyond the typical range. And here's the exciting part. A 1966 penny with an extraordinary mint error or in exceptional condition could be worth as much as $130,000. Yes, you heard that right, $130,000 for a single penny. While it's incredibly rare to come across a penny with this kind of value, it's a reminder that in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest, most overlooked coins can sometimes be worth a fortune. So, if you've got a 1966 penny tucked away in a jar or sitting in your change, don't overlook it. Take a closer look. You might just be holding onto a rare and valuable piece of American history. If your 1966 penny is in mint condition or has a significant error, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Second rare coin, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of rare coins with a special focus on the United States of America 1968 1-cent coin. While most of us might see pennies as simple change, the 1968 penny holds a special place in the world of numismatics and can actually be worth much more than its 1-cent face value. If you're a coin collector or just a fan of interesting finds, then this video is for you. Let's travel back in time to 1968. It was a year marked by historic events, the height of the Civil Rights Movement, the tumult of the Vietnam War, and the exciting space race as NASA was working to put a man on the moon. It was also a pivotal year for the U.S. Mint as it was the last year before the U.S. government made significant changes to coinage, including the introduction of a new coin composition. The 1968 penny, like its predecessors, was made of copper, but it would be one of the last pennies to be struck in that composition before the shift to a copper-plated zinc coin in 1982. When you hold a 1968 penny, you're holding a piece of history. The design is nothing new for collectors on the obverse. You'll find the timeless image of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This design has been a part of U.S. currency since 1909, and Lincoln's portrait continues to grace the 1-cent coin to this day. Surrounding the image, you'll find the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1968 etched onto the coin. The reverse side of the 1968 penny showcases the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959 as a tribute to the great man's legacy. The memorial's intricate columns and the central statue of Lincoln are detailed and striking. The design on the reverse side has become one of the most recognizable images in U.S. coinage, symbolizing Lincoln's lasting impact on the nation. Now, you might be wondering, why is the 1968 penny worth more than a single cent? The answer lies in its rarity and its condition. You see, while most 1968 pennies are fairly common, a small percentage of them are much rarer and more valuable than their face value would suggest. What makes the 1968 penny stand out is the potential for finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition or, even better, one with a rare mint error. Coins in exceptional condition or with unique features are highly sought after by collectors, and that's where the value lies. Point one of the key factors that increases the value of a 1968 penny is its condition. Like any other coin, pennies that were used in circulation often suffer from wear and tear. If you come across a 1968 penny that's scratched, faded, or shows signs of heavy circulation, its value will be significantly lower. However, if you find one that looks as if it just came from the US Mint, free from scuffs, discoloration, and other damage, this could be your golden ticket. Coins in uncirculated condition are a rarity, and the more flawless the coin, the more it's worth. For a coin to be considered uncirculated, it should have no signs of use, with sharp details and minimal wear. A mint-condition 1968 penny is a true treasure, and you'd be surprised how much these coins can fetch in the right market. While the vast majority of 1968 pennies are worth only a few cents, those that have remained in excellent condition over the years are valuable to collectors who are looking to add them to their collection. But that's not all. What really makes a 1968 penny stand out in the world of coin collecting is the possibility of mint errors. A mint error is an anomaly that occurs during the production process, making certain coins highly unique and much more valuable. There are several types of mint errors that could occur with the 1968 penny, and some of them are quite rare. These errors can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks, all of which make a coin more distinctive and collectible. Point one of the most famous errors that collectors look for in the 1968 penny is the double die. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, which results in a blurry or doubled image on the coin. If you happen to find a 1968 penny with a double die error, especially in the date or the word Liberty, you could be holding onto a very valuable piece of US currency. Another potential error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. An off-center 1968 penny is a rare and highly collectible error that could make the coin worth much more than its standard counterpart. The value of a 1968 penny is also influenced by its rarity. While millions of pennies were minted in 1968, most of them were circulated and have experienced wear. This means that high-quality, uncirculated 1968 pennies are much rarer to come by. If you happen to find one of these coins in top-notch condition, or even better, a 1968 penny with a mint error, it could significantly increase its value. You may be asking, how much could my 1968 penny be worth if I have one in great condition or with an error? Well, the value of a 1968 penny can vary depending on its condition, but when we're talking about a coin that has remained in mint condition or has a unique error, the price tag can rise dramatically. For example, a 1968 penny in mint condition can fetch several $100s, but if the coin has a rare mint error, the value can increase exponentially. Some 1968 pennies with significant errors have been known to sell for thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, a 1968 penny with exceptional quality or a notable mint error could be worth as much as $125,000. Yes, that's right, $125,000. While these kinds of pennies are incredibly rare and hard to find, they remind us that sometimes the smallest, most seemingly insignificant coins can be worth a fortune. If you have a 1968 penny lying around in your collection or tucked away in a drawer, now might be the time to take a closer look. Check the condition, inspect it for any possible minting errors, and who knows, you could have a coin worth far more than just 1 cent. Third expensive coin, we're delving into a fascinating piece of American history, the 1975 United States 1-cent coin. While pennies are often overlooked, the 1975 penny stands out as a particularly intriguing and valuable find for collectors. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed by just how much this coin could be worth. Let's start by setting the stage. 1975. The United States was in the midst of an era of change. The country was dealing with the aftermath of the Vietnam War, experiencing the effects of inflation, and navigating through the Watergate scandal. In the world of currency, 1975 marked a notable year for the U.S. Mint, as the country was still using the familiar copper composition in pennies. But what makes the 1975 penny so special? At first glance, you might not notice anything too extraordinary about the design. Like most pennies minted before 1982, the 1975 penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln, our 16th president, remains a symbol of strength, unity, and perseverance, and his image has been featured on the penny since 1909. Surrounding the portrait, you'll see the words "In God We Trust" above and "Liberty" to the left, with the year 1975 marked beneath Lincoln's profile. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the iconic Lincoln Memorial. This design, introduced in 1959, commemorates Lincoln's legacy and his lasting impact on American history. The memorial is depicted in great detail, with its grand columns and the central statue of Lincoln himself. It's a striking representation of one of the most beloved figures in U.S. history. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1975 penny. Most people might assume that a 1975 penny is worth just 1 cent. After all, it's in the name. But there's much more to this small coin than meets the eye. The real value comes from its rarity and condition. You see, most of the 1975 pennies that were produced have circulated over the years, suffering the wear and tear of daily use. These coins are not uncommon, but finding one in pristine condition is what really makes it valuable. Like many older coins, the condition of the penny plays a major role in determining its worth. If the penny has been used heavily, with scratches, dents, and discoloration, it's not going to fetch much. But a well-preserved penny, one that has been carefully stored and kept in excellent shape, can significantly increase its value. So, what should you be looking for when you check your 1975 pennies? The first thing to keep in mind is uncirculated condition. A coin that is uncirculated looks as if it just came from the mint, no signs of wear, with sharp details and no discoloration. A penny in this condition is highly sought after by collectors, especially when the coin is several decades old, but it doesn't stop there. There's another factor that can increase the value of a 1975 penny: mint errors. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process. These errors can make a coin highly unique and incredibly valuable. For example, an off-center strike is one of the more common types of errors. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be off-center or partially cut off. Another potential error to watch out for is the double die. This happens when the coin is struck more than once by the die, resulting in a doubling of the design elements. If you find a 1975 penny with a noticeable double die, perhaps a doubled Liberty or "In God We Trust," you could be holding a coin that is worth far more than just 1 cent. Coins with die cracks or misprints are also highly desirable. These types of errors are rare and make for extremely valuable finds. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for pennies that have these unique characteristics, and if you happen to find one in your collection, you could be in for a pleasant surprise. But why is the 1975 penny considered such a coveted coin in the numismatic community? The answer lies in its rarity and collectability. While millions of 1975 pennies were minted, very few have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and even fewer have errors that make them stand out. This combination of scarcity and uniqueness is what makes the 1975 penny so special. Now, you might be wondering, how much could a 1975 penny be worth if I find one in great condition or with a mint error? Well, the value can vary greatly depending on the specific coin. An average 1975 penny in circulated condition might only be worth a few cents, nothing out of the ordinary. But if you find a high-quality 1975 penny or one with a mint error, the value can skyrocket. A 1975 penny in perfect, uncirculated condition could be worth several $100s, but the real magic happens when you find one with a mint error. A coin that's been struck off-center, has a double die, or has another unique error can be worth thousands of dollars in some cases. These errors make the coin incredibly rare and highly collectible, and it's this rarity that drives up the price. So, how much could a 1975 penny with excellent condition or a mint error be worth? The price can reach as high as $100,000. Yes, that's right, $100,000 for a single 1975 penny. While these coins are exceptionally rare, their value is proof that sometimes the smallest pieces of currency can be worth an incredible amount. Now, you might be asking yourself if you have any of these valuable coins lying around in your collection. It's definitely worth taking the time to check your 1975 pennies and see if you have any in uncirculated condition or with a mint error. If you do, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. If you come across a 1975 penny, take a moment to inspect it closely. Check the condition, look for any signs of minting errors, and evaluate its overall quality. Who knows, you might have a hidden treasure that could be worth more than just a penny. Especially, we've got a fascinating subject to explore: the United States of America 1971 D1 cent coin. Now, most of us are used to tossing pennies into a jar without giving them a second thought. However, this particular penny from 1971 might just surprise you. As we dive into the history, design, and rarity of this coin, you'll see why it's one of the most coveted pennies out there. Stick with us until the end to discover just how much this tiny coin could be worth. Let's begin by taking a step back to the year 1971. America was undergoing a period of change. The U.S. was transitioning from the traditional silver-backed currency to a more modern, fiat-based currency system, and this shift had a major impact on the design of coins. While the 1971 penny may look like your typical copper coin, it actually holds a unique place in the history of American currency. The 1971 D penny was minted during a time of significant economic change in the United States. The country was navigating through inflation, and the U.S. government was working to stabilize its economy. The minting of coins like the 1971 D penny reflects this era of transition, which makes it all the more interesting for coin collectors today. But what exactly makes this penny so special? When you look at the design of the 1971 D penny, it might seem unremarkable at first. Like most pennies from the 20th century, the obverse features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln, one of America's most revered presidents, has graced the penny since 1909, and his image remains a strong symbol of American values like freedom and democracy. Surrounding the portrait are the words "In God We Trust" above and "Liberty" to the left, with the year 1971 prominently displayed beneath Lincoln's profile. On the reverse side, you'll find the famous Lincoln Memorial, introduced on the penny in 1959. The memorial represents Lincoln's legacy and is an enduring symbol of the nation's history. The intricate details of the memorial make the reverse side of this coin a true work of art, showcasing the mint's craftsmanship and dedication to honoring American heritage, but the value of this coin goes beyond its design. In fact, one of the most important factors that determines the worth of the 1971 D penny is its rarity and condition. The U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies in 1971, so these coins are relatively common in circulation. However, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is a much rarer find. Coins that have been well preserved over time, with no signs of wear and tear, are much more valuable than those that have seen years of use and pocket changed. Why is this coin worth so much more than the typical penny? It all comes down to how well it has been maintained. A 1971 D penny in uncirculated condition is highly prized by collectors because of its rarity. Pennies from the 1970s were used in countless transactions and, as a result, many have been scratched, worn down, or tarnished over the years. However, a coin that has been kept in excellent condition, protected from handling, dirt, and damage is much harder to find. To truly understand the value of this coin, we have to consider how collectors view it. For a coin to reach its maximum potential value, it needs to be in near-perfect condition, free of scratches, discoloration, and other imperfections. And that's exactly what makes the 1971 D penny so fascinating. When you find one that's in mint condition, the price can be jaw-dropping. In fact, coins like this are highly sought after in the numismatic community, and they can command impressive prices at auctions and among private buyers. However, condition isn't the only factor that influences the value of the 1971 D penny. Coin collectors also look for errors or varieties in the minting process. Errors are a huge draw for collectors because they make a coin unique and, in many cases, dramatically increase its value. For example, a double die error where the design is struck more than once during the minting process is a highly prized find. If you happen to have a 1971 D penny with such an error, it could be worth a fortune. Other errors that can affect the value of the coin include off-center strikes, where the image on the coin is misaligned, or die cracks, where cracks in the die result in unusual markings on the coin. These types of errors, while rare, can make a coin even more valuable, especially if the mistake is striking enough to be clearly visible. Now, let's get to the exciting part: the value of the 1971 D penny. So how much could a 1971 D penny in perfect condition or with a mint error be worth? Well, this particular coin can fetch a mind-blowing price if it's in top-notch condition or has a rare minting error. In fact, a 1971 D penny with the right combination of rarity, condition, and perhaps even a minting error can be worth as much as $88,000. Yes, you heard that right, $88,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that a coin worth just 1 cent could fetch such an incredible sum, but that's the magic of coin collecting. The rarity, condition, and unique features of a coin can elevate its value exponentially. So, the next time you're rummaging through your spare change, make sure to take a close look at your 1971 D pennies. You never know, you might just have one of these hidden treasures in your collection. Now, we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States 1979 D1 cent coin. This coin may seem like just another penny to the untrained eye, but believe me, it's far from ordinary. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual collector, this 1979 D penny has an intriguing story to tell, and it could be worth a lot more than you think. Stick around until the end to discover how much this small coin could actually fetch on the market today. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year 1979 was a pivotal time in American history. The country was navigating through economic challenges like inflation, and this period marked a shift in the political landscape with the election of President Jimmy Carter. But in the world of coinage, the 1979 D penny holds its own special place. The United States Mint produced millions of these pennies in 1979, but what makes this coin particularly special is the time it was minted. At the time, the U.S. was in the middle of experimenting with the composition of coins. While most pennies were made from copper, the U.S. Mint had begun using a higher percentage of zinc, leading to subtle differences in the way the coins appeared and aged. The 1979 D1 cent coin is one of the last of the traditional copper pennies before this shift, making it an interesting piece for collectors who appreciate the history and the subtle changes that occurred in U.S. currency. If you take a closer look at the design, you'll notice that the 1979 D penny features the classic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The portrait of Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, has adorned the penny since its introduction in 1909. His image, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1979, continues to be one of the most iconic images on American coinage. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which first appeared on the penny in 1959. This design was meant to honor Lincoln's legacy and his connection to the nation. The Lincoln Memorial is a symbol of the unity and strength of the American people, and it adds a sense of grandeur to this humble coin, while the design of the 1979 D penny is familiar. It's important to note that its value goes far beyond its appearance. The true worth of this penny lies in its rarity and condition. As with most coins, the condition in which the penny has been preserved over time plays a significant role in its value. In 1979, The U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies, but many of them saw extensive circulation and were used in everyday transactions. This means that most of the 1979 D pennies you come across today are likely to have some signs of wear and tear. However, if you happen to come across a 1979 D penny that is in uncirculated condition, you've found something special. A coin that has been carefully preserved, kept free from scratches, discoloration, or other forms of damage, is a rare find. These well-preserved coins are in high demand because they are harder to come by, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. Another important aspect that can affect the value of the 1979 D penny is the potential for mint errors. Mint errors are mistakes that occur during the coin production process, and they can make a coin highly desirable to collectors. For example, a double die error, where the image appears twice, can significantly increase a coin's value. Other potential errors, such as off-center strikes or die cracks, also make the coin more valuable. So, if you have a 1979 D penny with an unusual feature, you might want to get it examined by a professional to see if it's a rare error coin that could fetch a higher price. Now, let's get to the exciting part: the value of the 1979 D penny. As you can imagine, a 1979 D penny in pristine, uncirculated condition can be worth a pretty penny, but how much exactly? If you have a perfectly preserved 1979 D penny, or even one with a rare minting error, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $66,000. That's right, $66,000 for a single penny. It may sound unbelievable, but this is the magic of coin collecting. When a coin is rare and in excellent condition, its value can skyrocket far beyond what most people would expect. Now, before you start running through your coin jars, remember that not every 1979 D penny is worth tens of thousands of dollars. Coins in less than perfect condition, or those without a mint error, typically won't command such a high price. However, if you've got a coin that looks like it came straight from the mint and has been carefully preserved, you might just be holding onto a small fortune. If you're wondering how to spot a valuable 1979 D penny, the key is in the details. Examine the coin closely for any signs of wear, discoloration, or damage. If the coin is still shiny, with clear, sharp details, it could be worth more than its face value. If you believe you might have a mint error or a coin in exceptional condition, it's always a good idea to get it appraised by a professional to determine its true value. Coin collecting can be an incredibly rewarding hobby. And the 1979 D penny is a perfect example of how a simple coin can become a treasure. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting out, always keep an eye out for these hidden gems. Who knows, your next find could be worth more than you ever imagined. Last unique coin, we've got something really exciting to explore: the 1981 cent coin from the United States. While most of us see pennies as just pocket change, the 1980 penny holds some fascinating surprises for those who know where to look. From its historical context to its unique collecting potential, this coin is definitely worth paying attention to. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know just how much this little penny could be worth in today's market. Let's set the stage. The year 1980 was a time of economic challenges for the United States. The country was in the midst of high inflation, and the Federal Reserve had to take drastic measures to curb rising prices, leading to interest rates soaring to record highs. It was also the final year of the Carter administration, and Americans were facing both domestic and international pressures. This was the backdrop in which the 1980 penny was minted. But why is this particular coin so special? At first glance, it may look like any other penny, but don't be fooled. The 1980 penny is part of a series that was issued during a time when the U.S. Mint was focusing on managing the increasing costs of copper. This led to the gradual shift in coin composition, making the pennies lighter and less expensive to produce. While the design of the penny remained unchanged, subtle changes in the materials used to strike these coins would later add an interesting twist to their value. Looking closely at the design, you'll see the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, adorning the front of the coin. The likeness of Lincoln was designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner and has graced the penny since it was first introduced in 1909. Above Lincoln's portrait, the coin is marked with the words, "In God We Trust," a phrase that speaks to the nation's core values. To the right, the word liberty is proudly displayed, and below Lincoln's portrait is the year 1980, indicating when this coin was minted. On the reverse side of the coin, we find the Lincoln Memorial, which has appeared on the penny since 1959. This grand building, located in Washington, D.C., stands as a tribute to Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War and his commitment to preserving the Union. The memorial on the back of the coin symbolizes the unity and strength of the nation, a fitting image for a coin that has been in circulation for over a century. Now, let's talk about the value of this particular coin. While most 1980 pennies are still circulating and have very little monetary value beyond their face value of 1 cent, there are certain conditions under which this coin can become much more valuable. As with all coins, condition plays a critical role in determining value. Pennies that are well-worn, scratched, or discolored will not fetch much more than their original value, but a well-preserved penny in uncirculated condition can be worth much more. But that's not all. Certain 1980 pennies were produced with unique errors or variations that can drastically increase their value. These are the types of coins that collectors are on the lookout for. Minting errors occur when the coins are struck with mistakes during the production process, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or incorrect die usage. These errors can make the coin much more valuable because they are rare and not easily found in everyday circulation. For example, one of the more coveted versions of the 1980 penny is the 1980 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny, which was minted at the Denver Mint. If this coin shows signs of certain errors, it could be highly desirable to collectors. Coins that have off-center strikes or noticeable die cracks are prime examples of those that could fetch a higher price. The more pronounced and unusual the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. Now, you might be wondering just how much a 1980 penny could be worth if it's in top-notch condition, or if it's one of the rarer error coins. The answer is truly remarkable. A single 1980 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition could be worth several $100s, much more than its face value. But hold on, if your 1980 penny has a significant minting error, you could be looking at a much higher payout. For those of you with an eye for rarities and a passion for numismatics, the price tag for a highly collectible 1980 penny with the right condition or error can soar to $54,000. Yes, you heard that right, $54,000 for a penny. It's amazing to think that something so small and simple could hold such immense value. This is one of the many reasons coin collecting can be such a thrilling hobby. There's always the potential to discover a hidden treasure. If you're on the hunt for one of these valuable 1980 pennies, the best advice is to thoroughly inspect any pennies you come across, especially those that seem to have been well preserved or have an unusual appearance. Take a close look at the details of the coin, inspect the edges, check for any minting errors, and make sure the coin hasn't been damaged. If you find a penny that meets the criteria of a rare error or is in uncirculated condition, you might just have a small fortune on your hands. Coin collecting is all about patience and keen observation. So, if you've got a collection of pennies from the 1980s, it might be time to take a second look. Who knows? That one coin you thought was just another piece of pocket change could turn out to be worth thousands of dollars. We hope you enjoyed today's exploration of the 1981 cent coin. If you've got a 1980 penny that you think might be worth something, don't hesitate to get it professionally appraised. Remember, a little research and knowledge can turn a small investment into a significant return. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next one.